Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya. Same or Cimnanya, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. I mean, there are some things you see on the internet and you are in shock, like who is doing this? And then before you know what's going on, they will come back to debunk and say, no, it was not, it was, or probably apologize or say it was an AI generated and all that. And this Alfred, who actually came out to say that, I do not like Morana, that was what he said. And he said that, but then black people are the ones using Morana most especially. And I am asking, how did black people get into this? Like, you were talking about Morana. How did black people get into Morana? Because I don't see the relationship. It's amazing how they wake up each day to gaslight black people because they feel like they can actually do it and get away with it. Nothing is going to happen and all that. Which it is high time, people really start testing all these people to know who is really qualified to be on that space, because it looks like when they pack all of them and put there, they come out there garbage in, garbage out, and the rest of it. I mean, it's really kills when they come back with fake apologies to say, oh, it was not me. I really wasn't the person that did it. I mean, all these people are so right to the seas, and then one is that they do not hide it anymore. It's something that they do freely and openly and all that. And the other man is actually saying that black people, you already have to be resilient, about racism and all that. You do not let it affect you, and do not let racism make you feel like you cannot achieve what you are supposed to do. So that you guys really do all this. Let's get into this.
What you really need to do is go back in the 30s, and when they outlawed all type of drugs in Kansas across the United States. What was the reason why they did that? One of the reasons why, I hate to say it, it's the African Americans. They were basically users, and they basically responded the worst to all those drugs, just because their character makeup, their genetics and that. And so basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to do a complete reverse with people not remembering what's happened in the past. So basically I'm against, marijuana.
This is Stephen Alfred, and he is a Republican representative in the Kansas House of Representatives. And he has served in that capacity since 2011, in spite of having said the following: his constituents continually elect him.
What you really need to do is go back in the 30s, and when they outlawed all type of drugs in Kansas across the United States. What was the reason why they did that? One of the reasons why, I hate to say it, it's the African Americans. They were basically users, and they basically responded the worst to all those drugs, just because their character makeup, their genetics and that. And so basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to do a complete reverse with people not remembering what's happened in the past. So basically I'm against, marijuana, all the way through to.
And all it takes is the standard "if I offended anyone" white man apology for people to act like they forget that your comment was rooted in racism. And it's not just the fact that your constituents forgive you for your racism, they also don't mention your ignorance. Because the war on drugs that came out of the 1930s was against white people. You all have dedicated whole museums to it. The laws he talked about being implemented in the 30s were against organized crime families and targeted their international drug supply chain in Europe. Who in the entire hell do you think were doping horses in horse racing. Poor black people? Who do you think was stealing from the stockpiles of opium, over 300 tons, that was stored at the United States Treasury in Washington, D.C.? Their racism is only exceeded by the breadth of their ignorance and their justification of their racism. Remember this: the next time one of these troglodytic glowworms or their rocket raccoon surrogates with the glizzy of white supremacy stuck so far down their throat they think it's a part of their anatomy that racism does not exist in this country, understand that racism is woven into the very fabric of this country. It is a part of this country's DNA, and it is at the foundation of this country's very existence. And the people who are telling you that, remember that the only thing that exceeds their racism or their glizzy swallowing service to racism is their ignorance. Now, you'll have the day you deserve. Peace.
You can't eliminate racism by telling people don't be racist. What you can do is we can make our kids resilient. When I was a kid, my uncle was running for president. He was the first Irish Catholic president. And there was a lot of Irish Catholic prejudice at that time, bigotry. And I was called a mackerel snatcher when I was a kid. I was called Mick and all of these other, pejoratives. It never affected me. Somebody would call me those names, and I'd say something's wrong with them.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to make sure that every black kid in this country has that resilience, so that if somebody says something or does something racist to them, that they can stand up for themselves.
Well, I don't know about the rest of you, but the takeaway message I got is that RFK Jr. thinks it's too difficult to make racist assholes not be racist assholes, and it would be a lot easier if black people did all the work. And what a unique and pioneering idea to have in this country, to force black people to do all the work and not get paid for it because it's too much of an inconvenience for white people. Does this man's political savvy know no bounds? And what was all that bullshit about him growing up oppressed while his uncle was president? That's such a weird thing to say. I was so oppressed when my uncle was president. And his parents were also rich. When his uncle was president, the South was still segregated. There were separate water fountains. Lynchings were a common occurrence, and black people still had to sit on the back of the bus. There was never any Irish Catholic section on the back of the bus. Nobody knew you were Irish Catholic unless you told them. Versus black people almost never having to tell anyone that they're black. And black kids should be more resilient. I don't know how black kids can be any more resilient. If they were, they would be bulletproof, which probably wouldn't be a bad thing. I know that black parents would be a lot less terrified whenever their kids left the house if they were. And what exactly are they going to do with this newfound resiliency? Maybe they can use that resiliency to accept the fact they can't go to college because they didn't get that scholarship because schools are getting rid of their minority scholarship programs. But that's what happens when you have people and a Supreme Court that doesn't understand that scholarships and money are a finite resource. Well, anyway, this has been Doc for Diesel Punk Industries saying RFK Jr. is the biggest idiot in idiot land on Idiots Get In Free Day. Thanks for watching, and as always, Crunchy White, pimp forever.
So this is all I got from this, and it's really very scary that there is nothing they do and do not involve black people. It's like a norm that anytime they have something to say, black people are actually going to come up in their discussion, and I really do not know why they do that. So of everything going on and all the people using marijuana and all that, are black people the only ones using marijuana? Not at all. But the fact that they wake up every day and all they want to do is drag black people is just something that we find very crazy, There is no day that passes by that you don't get to hear stories and all of that. And then the other one that is talking about black people being resilient, like how did he even wake up to think about that, to come out to say that? Black people have to be resilient, that tell them that you can also make it, even with, like, nothing can stop you, even with the right decision and the rest of it. First of all, tell your people. It's not about telling my people to be resilient and all that. Go and tell your people to stop being right to the seas towards people that look like me, because it doesn't make any sense telling us that we can be resilient and all that, trying to be strong and trying to stay strong, that you can achieve whatever you put your mind in. Like, they keep saying it, that you have all the opportunity, the environment is already made for you to achieve whatever you have to achieve. It is left for you to do it. See, this is Black people already know what they want to do. Like, for them to overcome or overcome what happened to them during slavery, to the Jim Crow and the rest of it to this very moment, it also means that they are overcomer, right? But coming out to tell us that we have to be resilient is like telling people that you have to swallow whatever that is being done to you and just keep moving. Like, we know that we definitely will keep moving, but you already need to go and sit down and talk to yourself and ask yourself if what you all are doing is okay. So you know that right to the season is something that you all know that you do, right? Because coming to tell us that we have to stay strong is you acknowledging that it exists, because some of you refuse to acknowledge it, that it exists. You all have really not sat down and for a minute and put yourselves, because you cannot even fit in the Black people's shoes and all that. But have you ever thought of all the things that Black people have complained and all that? Have you ever thought of it happening to you? Most of them have not lived all this. They have not experienced it. They don't know, or they knew, but they choose not to understand because it is not happening to you. And at the same time, how do you want to connect to something that is not happening to you? Not until you experience it, then you can tell us to be resilient and all that. It is time they start testing people's IQ and all that before they run for whatever post that they are running for, or giving them microphone to come out on the internet or television to say whatever they want to say, because the ignorance that is running all over is very rampant in America, and not I really cannot afford that kind of stupidity. So people really have to do the kind of people they are voting. Like, if you say, a lot of them keep saying they want change, I keep asking you, what kind of change do you need? Because you have to really be specific with the kind of change you want. If not, everybody is still going to get the same thing, because it looks like every year or something there is reshuffling, right? Okay, let's just put this one here. This time around, this 2024, because next, you really need to sit down and say, man, this person is not good for us. Let's let this person go. This one is good for us. Let's keep this one here. Because I am really tired of waking up every day to see so many stories and all that is not even supposed to, every hand is always pointing at Black people for no just reason. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.